Thank you for viewing this webinar to learn more about the Spring 2015 NYSESLAT. My name is Juliette Lyons-Thomas, and I'm a fellow at the Regents Research Fund. Today, I'll be describing 5 fundamental shifts that distinguish the current NYSESLAT from versions that have been used in previous years. NYSESLAT stands for the New York State English as a Second Language Achievement Test and is used to annually assess English proficiency of English language learners in kindergarten through 12th grade. English language learners, also referred to as ELLs, are those students who are learning English in addition to their home language. This assessment is part of New York State's compliance with federal laws that require annual testing and monitoring of English proficiency of all students designated as ELLs. The assessment provides information about students' English language progress, which then drives instruction that is aligned to the New York State Common Core Learning Standards, the Blueprint for ELL Success, and the Bilingual Common Core Initiative. Performance on the NYSESLAT results in a student being designated as one of 5 proficiency levels, which will be described momentarily. The proficiency level of the ELL student specifies the type of English language support that is required by the student. A student who is shown to be at the commanding level, that is the highest level of proficiency on the NYSESLAT, moves from being an ELL to a former ELL, though that student is entitled to services for 2 additional years. The NYSESLAT is administered in 6 grade bands. That is, the assessment is administered to students in kindergarten and also to students in both 1st and 2nd grade, those in 3rd and 4th grade, those in 5th and 6th grade, those in 7th and 8th grade, and then finally to students in 9th through 12th grade. This slide shows the number of tasks and estimated testing time that is associated with each grade band and modalities within each grade band. For instance, for kindergarten, there are 19 listening items, 18 reading items, 10 writing items, and 13 speaking items. The 4th column is the total number of items and tasks. That is, there are 60 items from the 4 modalities combined for kindergarten. The final column is the estimated testing time in minutes associated with each session. Listening, reading, and writing are administered together and take roughly 30 to 35 minutes for kindergarten. The speaking session, administered separately, takes about 15 minutes. Now we'll discuss the structure of the NYSESLAT. For the speaking section of the assessment, students will see 13 tasks in total over the course of 3 themes. For the first theme, students will have 4 tasks. For the second theme, students will have 5 tasks, and for the third theme, students will have 4 tasks. The tasks increase in difficulty within each theme. For this booklet, a skipping rule is in place if a student does not answer a particular question or questions. The speaking section will take about 15 minutes for students to complete. Booklets 1 and 2 for listening, reading, and writing are similar in their structure. For listening, there are 2 prompts associated with 3 and 5 multiple choice questions respectively. Next, students are given 2 reading prompts with 3 and 5 multiple choice questions respectively. And for the writing section, students are given a prompt and then asked to respond with a short constructed response. That is, 1 written paragraph. As you can see, both booklets 1 and 2 have the same number of tasks. The third booklet for listening is similar to the other 2 books in that there are 2 listening prompts and then 2 reading prompts. Then there's a writing prompt. However, the number of questions and length of the constructed response changes. After the first listening prompt, students answer 3 multiple choice questions, and then after the second listening prompt, they answer 5 multiple choice questions. Next, students see the first reading prompt and answer 5 multiple choice questions. Then they see the second reading prompt and answer 6 multiple choice questions. Finally, students see a writing prompt and then answer with an extended constructed response. That is, 2 paragraphs or more. The rubric for the writing is either informational or narrative. It should be noted that the administration of the Spring 2015 NYSESLAT is not significantly different from previous years, as the assessment continues to have an expanded administration window for speaking. Testing time of the current NYSESLAT is comparable to that of previous versions. However, there are enough differences between the current and previous versions of the assessment that warrant thorough review, and administrators are urged to become familiar with scoring through training sessions that will be available and the new school administration manual and directions for administration. The assessment will be aligned to the linguistic demands of Common Core instruction for ELLs. Linguistic demands identify what students need to understand and use in order to meet the Common Core standards. The linguistic demands do not reflect content, but rather the language required to access content. As previously mentioned, there are 5 major shifts associated with the current NYSESLAT. The first shift has to do with how the assessment measures linguistic demands that are based off of the new language arts progressions. The second shift is that the number of performance levels has changed from 4 to 5. The third shift describes how global themes are used to integrate the 4 modalities. The next shift, the fourth shift, is regarding text complexity, and finally, the fifth shift has to do with instructionally relevant academic language, that is, test material that reflects the content area classroom activities. So now the rest of this presentation will examine each of these shifts in greater detail. As mentioned in the previous slide, the first shift has to do with how the assessment reflects the Common Core learning standards. This slide describes how the assessment measures what are known as linguistic demands, which are derived from the new language arts progressions, which are based on the Bilingual Common Core Initiative. For the purposes of assessment, targets of measurement are the articulations of the linguistic demands and what are measured by the NYSESLAT. There are targets of measurement for every grade band as well as every performance level. This graphic is meant to show the relationship between the Common Core learning standards, the new language arts progressions, the synthesized linguistic demands, and the targets of measurement and performance level descriptions. At the bottom of the pyramid are the Common Core learning standards in English language arts, which guided the new language arts progressions, which generated the linguistic demands. And these are the basis for the targets of measurement. The targets of measurement are what we measure in the NYSESLAT. The second shift is that there are 5 performance levels, whereas the previous NYSESLAT only had 4 levels. This slide is meant to show the approximate equivalencies between the Phase 1 performance levels and the Phase 2 performance levels, but please do note that the relationships are not exact and really are just provided here for informational purposes. In the Spring 2015 NYSESLAT, each test question is written to a specific performance level. Here, the descriptions of each of the 5 performance levels are provided. Do note that a student at the commanding level, that is the level that's all the way on the right, the highest performance level, would be considered a former ELL, having met the linguistic demands necessary to demonstrate proficiency in academic contexts within their grade level. The third shift is an integrated approach to the modalities through what are known as global themes. Global themes integrate modalities because language skills are naturally integrated in the classroom environment. The assessment measures the language that is embedded in the content of the global themes rather than the content itself, but the presence of the global theme provides students with an assessment experience not unlike the classroom experience, where modalities are interconnected. The fourth shift of the NYSESLAT has to do with the complexity of grade-level text. In order to effectively prepare students for college and successful careers, the Common Core standards require students to engage in text with greater complexity, and the NYSESLAT reflects that. The NYSESLAT passages contain approximate grade-level text complexity. The text complexity that resulted is based on a combination of quantitative measures, qualitative measures, and expert judgment. For more information about text complexity, you can visit the webpage listed here from Achieve the Core. Finally, the fifth shift has to do with instructionally relevant academic language. The NYSESLAT questions come from content area classroom activities with questions that are based in academics. The Spring 2015 NYSESLAT focuses on aspects of instruction that students would encounter in content area classrooms with close attention paid to text complexity. For instance, literary text in English language arts, word problems in mathematics, informational text in science, or deciphering information from maps in social studies are the types of tasks that students would encounter in the NYSESLAT. Even though the questions relate to specific content, the questions are meant to measure the language that supports the content rather than the content itself. For instance, a question that involves the content area of social studies may include a map. However, the construct being measured would be language, rather than previous knowledge of geography. Thank you for attending this webinar on the Spring 2015 NYSESLAT. For more information and resources on the NYSESLAT, you can visit the webpage listed here, or you can send email inquiries to emscassesinfo@nysed.gov. Please note that this PowerPoint document is also available on the website listed here. If you choose to view it, you will notice that there are glossary slides following this one that list a number of terms that were used throughout the presentation. For the purposes of this webinar, I will not be reviewing the glossary, but please feel free to view them on your own time to get a better sense of each term.